Linsky. At Coors Field as the Rockies close in on another postseason berth. It'll be their second in 3 years that they can get the job done. First things first, they got to take care of the Padres tonight. Right now I'm going to turn things over to Drew Goodman and George Frazier because we're ready for Rockies baseball.
Tonight, game 2 of this 3-game set between the Rockies and their friends from San Diego, the Padres. In the National League West, the Dodgers keep winning. They're 5 games ahead of the Rockies. In the wild card, it's Atlanta and San Francisco, but they're 5 back as Colorado is comfortably in front. Florida is 5.5 off the pace. And welcome inside. Good evening, everybody. I'm Drew Goodman. Boy, last night was a wild one. The ticker got going late. Unfortunately, it kept going because the Rockies survived 11-10. Hopefully, they'll be a little more comfortable this evening. Home has been very good to the Rockies. They've won 8 consecutive games. Their all-time best win streak at Coors Field set in 1996. 11 straight. Let me turn to George Frazier. And the Rockies have always had one of the top home field advantages in all of baseball, and again they're taking advantage of Coors Field this year.
Well, they are, but I think in a different way. They've pitched very well at Coors Field. I think that's the biggest key. They've pitched well here. They don't walk people. The long ball. This is what jumped out at Drew and I. We looked at this graphic earlier today, and it's home and road home runs. Are you kidding me? 90 each. You would never anticipate that at Coors Field. Yet the record of winning route on the road as well as home, but the team batting average, obviously a big disparity there. 50 points is what you see, but on the runs, almost 2 more. And then, of course, the batting for strikeouts and what happened, striking out more out on the road. The team ERA here, the Rockies pitching staff right now, 6th in the National League. I don't think you'd talk about them being in the top 10. So the biggest difference for me when it's home road and starting to look at things and how it comes out and transpires out is the fact that this team has pitched much better at home. And, of course, the bullpen has been solid all year.
And you talk to guys that have pitched here now for a while, George, especially a guy like an Aaron Cook, Jeff Francis, who's down this year. They have as much confidence pitching at Coors Field as they do if they're going to Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, part of that's the humidor. Part of the fact they let the grass grow a little bit in the infield. I think that's one of the big keys. And slow the ball down. You got sinker ball pitchers, so why not slow it down? And then you put a very athletic defensive team behind them. Well, you're going to have good results.
Yeah, and the Rockies have had plenty good results here at Coors Field. They look to make it 9. one, and that came about 4 weeks ago,
Yeah,
George.
it did come about 4 weeks ago. Probably the one thing that jumps out at me, 9 walks in his last 11 innings. That's not Jason Marquis. Typically a guy that will pound the strike zone. 15 wins on the season, though. That's tied for third best in the National League. Doesn't walk people. He's going to put the ball in play against Tim Stopper, the guy that pitched very well against the Rockies out in San Diego. Well, last night was kind of fun because there was a guy that appeared that we haven't seen in a long time, Drew. He's a he doesn't create a lot of big innings with the walk, and that was what was impressive. You bring him into the 8th inning, and he has 2 very quick outs, one of those on a punch out. So tonight, guess what? The Rockies have a safe situation. There's going to be a familiar face out on the mound.
Yeah, and initially they thought it may take a couple of outings to get him back in the 9th inning, but his manager said, you know what? I like what I saw. You have convinced me. You'll be back in the 9th. Back. We'll hear from plenty of Rockies tonight about this exciting time. Come on back with us. Rockies baseball on FSN is brought to you by E470 and Express Toll, the best way to save time and money. By Quest, get 2 free gigs of online backup with Quest high-speed internet. And by Red Wing Shoes, visit your local Red Wing shoe store where fit comes first. Well, it's a chilly night at Coors Field. Game time temperature yesterday at first pitch was 48 degrees. Doug's about to tell me what the temperature is any moment, but I think it's a little cooler than it was last night. But right now, no rain overhead. That's a good thing. Jason Marquis' first pitch is at the top of the strike zone. 0-1 on Everett Cabrera. Well, I was wrong, George. It's 48 degrees again.
Sideways. It's not that bad. When you're moving around, you're playing as a player, you really don't feel this as much. It's the guys that are standing. Hands start to get a little bit of cold. That's why you see them with sometimes put them in the back pockets, wear the extra glove.
I think it's easiest, George, on the pitcher because
he and the catcher.
Yeah, he and the catcher. Catcher's bundled up, and pitcher obviously is exerting a lot of effort every 15 seconds or so. Here's Torrealba still stretching out the bat. He's now been behind the plate 18 of the last 21 games for the Rockies. Stewart sets his feet and throws out Cabrera. He had one of those in the first inning last night.
Take a look at Bud Black's lineup this evening. Once again, David Eckstein will be in the 2-hole. Adrian Gonzalez naturally is third. Chase Headley will bat fourth. Will Venables in right field. Oscar Salazar, who drove in 4 runs last night, he'll be in left field. Nick Hundley pinch hit, gave everybody a scare before lining out to Seth Smith to end the ball game last night, and then Tony Gwynn in the 8-hole in front of the pitcher. Here's Eckstein, and the sinker goes low. David, a World Series hero with the Angels a few years back, inside 2-0. He's the poster child, George, for overachievement in the game of baseball.
Just one of those kids you look at. He doesn't run real fast, doesn't have a real strong arm. He just knows how to win baseball games.
Here's the 2-0 on Eckstein, and that's way inside. 3-0. Eckstein was 0 for 3 and a couple of walks last night. He did score a couple of runs. 11-10 final. Didn't feel that way going to the 9th inning when the Rockies were up 11-6. And the 3-0 is in there 3-1. Anything in particular, George, you're looking for tonight as you watch Marquis in the early innings?
Just those strikes. Attack the strike zone. Don't be hesitant about your stuff. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me. And when he does it and he puts the ball in play, obviously he gets an awful lot of strikes. That ball up in the zone is going to walk Eckstein.
So Eckstein to first, and Adrian Gonzalez coming up.
Let's take a look at Jason Marquis' scouting report. Marquis at home 7-5 with a .370 earned run average. Hard sink on both sides of the plate. The curve will come in, work both the back door, and it's good down depth to that pitch. Acts an awful lot like his fastball. The changeup does at 80 to 84 miles an hour. All-time ERA at Coors Field, 3.42 for Mr. Marquis. All that brought to you by Fidelity.
Adrian Gonzalez had a big year against the Rockies, hitting .352, and he takes up high, including 4 home runs, 13 RBIs. Sitting on 39 home runs. Most of his home runs, not surprisingly, out on the road. He has more road home runs than anybody in the game. That's in there, 1-1. Home plate umpire is Rob Drake. Jerry Meals is at first, Mike DeMuro at second, and Ron Kolba at third. In the air to left field. Smith is in the neighborhood, and he makes the catch, 2 outs. Take a look at the Rockies defensively. No Carlos Gonzalez tonight. The hamstring is not pulled, just tight, so they're going to give him a day or two, especially with this cold weather. Smith, Fowler, and Hop out there. Stewart, Tulowitzki, Barmes, and Help. And again, as we mentioned, it's Yorvi Torrealba behind the dish. 2 outs. This is Chase Headley from Fountain, Fort Carson. And chopping baseball to Barmes, and a good start for Jason Marquis. He did walk Eckstein, but a couple of ground balls. We'll see the Rockies on offense next. In fact, they've been in double digits in runs scored 2 of the last 3 ball games. And here's Jim Tracy's lineup tonight. Seth Smith will lead it off, then Dexter Fowler in the 2-hole. Todd Helton, Troy Tulowitzki, Brad Hopp in the middle. Torrey Alba has become a fixture of late in that 6-hole, the way he has swung the bat. Ian Stewart 7th. Clint Barnes 3 for 4, 3 ribbies inside the park, 2-run home run last night. Will bat 8th. And then Marquis. All against Tim Stauffer. That was a high pick a few years ago. Had labrum surgery and missed all of 2008. And he's pitched pretty well, George.
Well, after getting fixed. I mean, this kid was the #1 draft pick. You see what he's done against the Rockies. 1-0 record, 208 earned run average. But after he got fixed, all of a sudden you're starting to see the fastball that he once possessed as a #1 draft pick. He'll bump it up to 93, 94 at times. But he pitches. You're going to see curveball, slider, change. You're going to see a 4-pitch mix. You're going to see a guy that works both sides of the plate.
And he falls behind 2-0 on Smith. Smith came into the ball game last night in the 2nd inning. He pinch hit for Gonzalez after the hamstring had tightened up a little bit. And naturally, he promptly doubled. And we didn't pay much attention to it at the time because it was the 2nd inning. And even though it was a pinch hitting appearance, you know, we're used to talking about Smith pinch hitting late in ball games. He's now hitting an even .500 this year, coming off the bench in the pinch. Something else.
Well, it really is. And typically those pinch hits are beyond the 7th inning.
Yep.
You know, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, when you need that hit to create an inning or to win a ball game. He's done that.
3-1 pitch and ball 4. So Smith walks. And the Rockies have the leadoff man aboard with Dexter Fowler approaching. Let's take a look at the Fidelity scouting report on the product of the University of Richmond.
Well, the right-hander, if you start to look at his numbers, and they don't really flash out at you as something special. 88, 93, sinks it, cuts it. He'll turn his slider into a really hard cutter at 82 to 86 miles an hour. The circle change 72, 79. His overall record 4-7. Struggled out at home at the 1-3 record, but a 294 earned run average. Out on the road, he's 3-4 with an earned run average. This is where he really excels. When he gets guys on base or he gets guys in scoring position. The opposition's hit just 214 against him.
And this is where the Rockies could put a lot of pressure on you. Smith at first base, and Fowler, who bunts very well at the plate, naturally has great speed. They're in on the corners. Dexter that time did not square around, and it was in there 1-1. Fowler swung the bat well last night. It was a 3-game hitting streak, was 2 for 5 last night, scored 3 runs. And that's a strike. Now the third baseman, Headley, will drop back behind the bag. And Dexter bounces it to first. So Fowler trades places with Smith. Now Dexter's got a little band-aid where he got spiked last night. Try to show you that right below the knee, or excuse me, right below the ear. That would be the ear, would it not, George?
Most of the time. Yeah. See where the ball came across the runner. Cabrera got it, but when he did, he jumped over the top of Dexter. And that cleat, the metal cleat, caught him right on the side of the ear.
And Nick Hundley's behind the plate. Nick throws the ball fine, but he's not in the class of Henry Blanco in terms of catching and throwing. And San Diego thought something may be on. Fowler didn't move, so the pitch out makes it ball 1 on Todd Helton. Todd had 3 hits last night. He moves the average up to 318. He's 4th in the National League in that category. Runner going, and this is line foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Let's take a look at the Padres defensively. Oscar Salazar in left, Tony Gwynn at center, and Will Venable, the 6'5" right fielder. Headley, Cabrera, Eckstein, Adrian Gonzalez, and Nick Hundley behind the plate.
You talked about Hundley and how he can't throw people or doesn't have quite the ability. Blanco's thrown out 40%, 18 of 45. Hundley 13 of 62, 21%.
Which in this day and age isn't bad, but 40%, that's like off the charts right now.
Well, Henry's always been above that mark. I mean, he's just one of those guys, great catch and throw guy.
Dexter again draws a throw. That'll keep you warm. I don't know if you can go on the mound with that, can you, George?
Somebody went shopping today, I think.
And they'll pitch out again.
Confidence that Stauffer can throw strikes. Realizing the hitter that's at the plate with Todd Helton, that if he is stealing, then you take away that opportunity to have a runner in scoring position. Todd Helton at the plate. That's what Bud Black's thinking about. And Ted Simmons, former catcher. Helton's National League leader, 4th in the league right now.
And this ball turned on, 2-2. All base stealers, they naturally always want to check out the dirt right where they get the lead, but especially when it's rained most of the day and the tarp was on the field most of the day. Are they going to spin out? See those base runners kick the spikes around, try to get a feel for how firm.
Yeah, one of the advantages they have here.
This is a high fly ball down the right field line, well hit, twisting foul.
One of the advantages they have here is Mark Razzin. What he did today was come out after they pulled the tarp and got it all squared up, as they put a lot of the quick dry throughout all over this infield. That's why you kind of see the beige in coloring. And they drag it, mix it in with the dirt to help kind of soak up what Drew's talking about to make it a little smoother running surface.
Dexter's got 27 stolen bases, not going again, and it's 3-2. Surprised at all he's not looked to go, George?
I'm a little bit surprised by it. I just maybe they're trying to keep the hole open on the right side. Tulowitzki, hot bat, player of the week, you know, all those things behind him.
He'll be going here, and that's ball 4. So now the Rockies have 2 on for the National League Player of the Week, Troy Tulowitzki. Let's take a look at our Bird Auto keys to the game. George, what do you have tonight?
Well, I think there's one thing you got to look at, starting pitcher Jason Marquis. That's going to be a key for me to let him work into that 7th inning. Get to the extension that he has, and then, of course, Tim Stauffer, who pitched well against the Rockies over there in San Diego, really handle the cold here at Coors Field. The offense of the Rockies, opportunity early, 1st and 2nd. For Tulowitzki to drive in. Looking forward to seeing Houston Street in the closer's role. Hopefully the Rockies will have to use him in that role in the 9th inning.
So a chance for the Rockies to do early damage. 2 on, 1 out for Tulowitzki. And he takes strike 1. You know, back on July 24th, Troy was hitting .247. Since that time, he's hit .358 with 12 home runs and 42 RBIs. This ball is hit well to center field. Gwynn going back, still going back, and at the edge of the track, he makes the catch. Now, Dexter will tag up and go to 3rd. So there'll be 2 outs, and that'll bring up Brad Hopp. Fans, feed your Rockies fever at Taco Bell. When the Rockies score 7 or more runs, as they did last night, the place to go the next day, Taco Bell in the state of Colorado. Between 4 and 6 in the afternoon, get 4 tacos for $8. Always check stores for details. Maybe Brad could duplicate what he did in the 1st inning last night, hitting a 3-run opposite field home run. Last 8 8 home runs for Hop have all gone to the opposite field. That was number 20 for Hop. First RBIs for Brad in the month of September. He also snapped an 0 for 16 slide with runners in scoring position. But he is as professional as it gets. He just keeps grinding away. And as we have described so many times, personality is such that he's just even keeled no matter what. Good, bad, or indifferent. 2-1 on Brad.
Well, I think the other day when I made the comment about Brad Hop, I don't worry about Brad Hop because Brad Hop doesn't worry about himself. He knows he's going to hit. He knows he's going to have results.
He always has. That catches the corner, so it's 2-2. Stoffer has thrown 22 pitches in the inning. And he strikes out Hop with runners at first and third. So the Rockies threaten, do not score. We'll go to the second. And how excited they are in the month of September. Let's hear from Matt Herges.
Better than 07. Why? Because 07 was, holy cow, what's going on here? Now it's like, okay, we're expecting, this is what we expect, and it's happening, and we're kind of making it happen instead of it just being just like an explosion. We're kind of gearing up now. Instead of, okay, we made it, now it's, now we're gearing to our goal.
2-0 on Will Venable leading off for the Padres in the second. That's a strike. Well, if you want to irritate Jim Tracy, which is very difficult to do because he's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, call this season for the Rockies a run. That would irritate him because to him, and rightfully so, this ball's clogged. It's going to be 1-0 San Diego. That is a long home run for Venable, his 12th of the year. Big, strong kid, former basketball player at Princeton, who's starting to turn a corner as a baseball player.
No question about that part of it. With his power and his arm and the distance that he can travel in the outfield and his coverage. Pretty special to watch this. You watch the transformation. I'm not real happy about it because I'm obviously cheering for Jason Marquis, but mistake made, mistakes paid for, and that's what this young kid's starting to do.
Just to finish the thought on Jim Tracy, a run, George, is you play well for 2 weeks, you play well for 10 days. That's a run. What the Rockies have done is over a 4-month period of time after a slow start to the season, they have emerged as one of the top teams in baseball. There's no fluke. This team's on its way to winning 90+ baseball games. And since June 1st, they've been one of the top 2 teams along with the New York Yankees in the game. Period. End of subject. That's not a run. That's 4 months. 3 balls and a strike on Oscar Salazar. And now he walks Salazar. So Marquis gives up the long home run. And then he has already walked 2 in the ball game. Going back to Venable for a moment. I asked Bud Black yesterday, I said, has Venable made a big stride this year since coming up from Portland for you? Because he was up last year and did a few impressive things. You and I chatted about him. And he said, no question. He said he has really made significant strides this year, figuring out the offensive side of things. And he's also a better outfielder than he felt a year ago. Great kid, very bright kid, obviously. Princeton educated. Grew up in the game because of his dad, who remains the hitting instructor, Max, in Portland in the Padres organization. Here's the 0-1 on Hundley.
Well, one thing Bud Black started to do a little bit with his offenses is he works his way down the lineup. A lot of times he'll put a hit and run on. He'll put a steal on. Terry Kennedy, the AA manager, San Antonio, up with the ball club now. There he is, right there. Good guy. Fought in the big leagues 13, 14 years. Dad, Bob Kennedy, ran the Chicago Cubs for a long time.
That pitch misses. 2-2 on Hundley. Padres up 1-0 on the Venable home run.
Well, you had one of those feelings, and again, I said this about Marquis in his last 2 starts. This is not typical Jason Marquis, a guy that walks 9 guys in 11 2/3 innings. He's a guy that typically pounds the strike zone, short innings, much like he did in the first inning. After he did have the leadoff walk and a couple of ground balls got out of that thing. You don't see very many 3-ball counts with Marquis.
Runner going, fouled off.
Watch this pitch come in on a 3-2 pitch. Just caught the end of the bat, caught the shin guard of Torrey out.
Salazar again going. That's low. And that's 3 walks, 2 on, nobody out. Jason Marquis has created a little jam here in the 2nd inning. Let's check in with Mark Stout with tonight's Mike Shaw Auto Update. Mark?
All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about the lost art of the complete game. Jason Marquis, the man on the mound for the Rockies, is the team leader with 2, and they happen at the beginning of May and the end of June. The National League leaders are Tim Lincecum and Matt Cain with 4 each. San Diego's all-time leader was Randy Jones. Back in '76, he was an all-star then. He led the league with 25. The most the Rockies ever had, Pedro Estacio with 9 in 1999. And you have to go back to 1999 to find the last time there was a National League pitcher that led the league with double-digit complete games, and that was Randy Johnson with 12 for Arizona. So it has been a decade since that happened. And George, I know you threw in this league, and it's a different ball game now. Maybe you can explain to people why that is. The pitchers just do not go the distance.
Well, you look back at innings pitched over the course now. Mark is 200. It used to be 230, 240, which would tell you that's where those complete games come into. And I think the specialization of the bullpens. where you have all the left-right matchups. The pitch count obviously has become very prevalent among minor league guys coming to the big leagues. It's kind of, you're trained to go 100 pitches. You're trained to go 90. Well, you're not going to throw 90 pitches to get a complete game very often unless you're Greg Maddux, and he retired. I mean, Randy Jones typically would pitch, his average time of game was a little over 2 hours because he threw so many strikes.
He could double park, George, and not get a ticket.
I tell you what, one day he and Russell hooked up at Rick Russell hooked up at Wrigley Field.
3-1, by the way. Go
hour
ahead.
and 22 minutes. 1-0.
Now Marquis really struggling to throw strikes as he has his last couple of outings. He's thrown 33 pitches, only 13 have been in the strike zone. Tony Gwynn at the plate. And a ground ball up the middle, base hit. Around third comes Salazar. He'll score. Going first to third is Nick Hundley. It is 2-0 San Diego.
Well, 18 RBIs for the young Mr. Gwynn now. He's swung the bat a little bit since he's brought up to the big leagues, starting to level off a little bit. See his line drive right back up the middle. Got a ball up into the strike zone. He did a nice job keeping his hands there, not taking the head off. The second base umpire Mike DeMuro as the ball went into the outfield.
Now, George, as you well know, if you could hit 2-0-3-1 all the time, you'd hit for a pretty high average.
Well, the league tells you that. The hitters tell you that all the time.
You see anything with Marquis? Because
the ball's up.
Yeah, the month of September, it's been a struggle.
Well, I think part of the thing, the ball's up into the strike zone a little bit. That's part of it. And then the other side of it, when he is down, there's so much movement on the ball, it's out of the strike zone. And so I thought the other day in his previous start, he did get a lot of phone calls. I mean, looking at Jim Tracy on the phone, he did get a lot of calls down in the zone, and I think that affected what he was doing in the game. Now Tracy's already looking down into this bullpen, and he's thinking this thing's pretty strong, and on the other end of that is Jimmy Wright. He's not going to let this thing get carried away. The innings really shouldn't affect Marquis over the 200 inning mark. That's 3 times in his season, in his career, that he's done that. 6 consecutive with more than 167. Double-digit wins, 6 straight years. He's used to being on the mound.
Here's the 0-1 to Stauffer. Now 0-2. Now you look at Jason's last few outings. 6 innings at Arizona, gives up 4 runs on 6 hits. He walked 5. George mentioned the fact that his previous start in San Diego, he walked 4. You look at how many innings he's eaten up in his career at different times. Stauffer strikes out. It's 2 outs. Against the Reds in his last home start, George, he gave up 4 runs, only 1 of which was earned. 4 hits and 7 1/3, winning his 15th game. He obviously was solid in that ball game. But as I said, the last dominant outing came against the Giants August 24th when he gave up a run on 6 hits in 8 innings.
Well, Matt Hurd is starting to throw down into the bullpen, and again, this is a situation where Jim Tracy's not going to let this thing get carried away. The Giants and Diamondbacks haven't started yet. He's trying to, and a lot of times with a veteran guy like Marquis, you know, you kind of glance over your shoulder, you look out there and you go, what? Somebody's warming up? You know, I mean, it kind of fires you up a little bit. Remember last night, Jorge De La Rosa put the hand up, told Jim Tracy, stay in the dugout. I'll get out of this. You know, it's about 5 quality pitches in a row from Marquis. Watch this slider. He's going to take off right out of the strike zone, picking on the youngster Cabrera. Really close on that.
0-2 on Cabrera, who bounced to third his first time. 2 runs in the inning for San Diego. Torrealba with the block. Hundley and Gwynn stay put. Say worst among rookies. You know what? Playing shortstop every day as a kid, hitting 260 something. Home games at Petco. He's had a nice year. Swung on and missed. He's gone.
Tony Gwynn with his 8th stolen base. He's been caught 6 times, but you're back to second guy in the order, a tough out from David Eckstein.
Let's get an update on another ball game of interest. Philadelphia in South Florida, and Ryan Howard has gone opposite field. The Phils lead at 6-3. Marlins start the day 5.5 out in the wild card. The Braves and Giants 5 back. 2 outs, 2 in scoring position. And Eckstein at the plate. He takes strike 1. Eckstein walked his first time up. David, great World Series a few years ago with the Angels, and of course in '06 he was the MVP of the World Series for the Cardinals. You know, in 51, that's in there 0-2. In 51 World Series at bats, David Eckstein is a .333 hitter.
We're talking about a winning player. Got to have somebody believe in you. Well, they did in St. Louis. He left on not so good of terms, but that changed, obviously. Back to St. Louis when they were in town recently. Visited with everybody in the front office. Looking back on the walks per the month. You look at Marquis, 11 in April, 12, and then 13, and only 5 in July. A pretty good run going there. But he's walked 17. That's the most in September.
One and 2. And a bouncing ball to help Tado take it himself. 2 runs for the Padres in the inning. It began with a Will Venable monster home run to right.
Came up, you know, it's kind of similar to now. I mean, early in the year we weren't really in it. We were struggling, and we had a long way to go, and kind of had to battle through the year to get where we're at now. But it's been a longer process. It's kind of, we had more time this year to turn things around. In '07, you know, like everybody said, it was such a magical run. We had to do it at the end. I mean, we had to win those games if we wanted any chance. So there's some similarities, and then there's some differences. But either way, both of them have been a lot of fun.
Winning's a lot of fun. Words of Ian Stewart. Stewart's on deck. Torrealba takes ball 1. Yorvit had a double in last night's ball game. Got the average at 287. That pitch is outside. 2-0 on Torrealba. Yorvit was 1 for 3. A little more than a week ago when he faced Stauffer. 3-0.
Well, not what you want to see out of your starting pitcher. If your club just gave you a 2-0 lead, then all of a sudden you go out and you start firing balls and put guys on base. Start creating a bunch of traffic. You're going to run into a jam at some point.
That's ball 4. See Torrealba, that's perfect for a catcher. Out of respect for Rob Drake, never moved, waited to see if it was going to be called a strike.
Well, he's had his differences of late with umpires, but on his pitchers being called, and also when he's at the plate. That ball was pretty much right on the corner. That's why there's so many looks going both ways. Rob Drake's had a little bit of a different strike zone throughout this game for both sides, for Torrealba and for Mr. Stauffer and Mr. Marquis.
Yeah, Marquis got 3 walks. Stauffer's got 3 walks now. Here's Stewart. That's a strike. Ian in the ball game last night was 1 for 3, walked a couple times, scored a run. 5 ribbies in his last 5 games. He could tie it up with 1 swing. With Stewart starting at third base this year, the Rockies are 23 games above 500, 51 and 28.
Not wanting those arms to be extended to display the power that Stewart does have. Stauffer has been 3 balls to 3 of the 6 batters he's faced in this game. Close 1 pitch away from getting there now.
Three and 1 here. It's one of those nights, George, where the ball, it's cold. Ball feels really slick, particularly at altitude.
That, I think, is part of it. I think, too, you're trying to get some extension out front. Body's a little bit tighter than normal, but, I mean, for a pitcher, it ought to be fine. So Stauffer's a guy that normally throws a lot of strikes in him. Close.
Darren Balsley's in a dead sprint to the mound right now. He almost got there before Nick Hundley did. Oh, it's Bud Black. Excuse me. I didn't even look up. Bud Black. He's cap to cap right now with Stauffer. That is a one-way conversation.
Well,
that's not a conversation.
Well, you want me to tell you what it was about more than anything? A 3-1 changeup at 72 miles an hour to the 7-hole hitter in the lineup. And I know Stewart has a lot of power. And I know he can do a lot of things. If you're going to get beat or you're going to give up a run, it better not be on your 4th best pitch going out of hitter.
Let's see if he gets the message. Barmas at the plate. And he misses ball 1. So after being staked to a 2-0 lead, Stauffer's walked the first 2. And Barmas, who had 3 hits last night, he's up there. That's in there 1-1. The inside the park home run yesterday for Barmas, the 2nd of his career. 23rd home run of the season for Clint.
It was so impressive to me also is the RBIs for Barnes, 76 on the year.
It's the 12th inside the Parker in franchise history. The only man who has more than one in addition to Clint Barmas, Ellis Burks. And this will pop up in the infield. Infield fly rule in effect. David Eckstein will go through the formality of making the catch. And that's a big out for Stauffer because now you have the pitcher up there. The pitcher can swing the bat, Marquis. Today's E470 Road Ahead brought to you by E470 and Express Toll, the best way to save time and money. The Cardinals come in over the weekend, and you're going to see their top 3. You're going to see Carpenter, Wainwright, and Joel Pinheiro. He's kind of turned his career back around this year. They have Freary going in the bullpen right now. Ernesto.
Never made a major league appearance yet. This would be his first.
He may be in there soon if Stauffer can't find the strike zone. Marquis would like nothing more than to help out the offense with the Padres ahead 2-0. And it's 2-0. pretty good bunt. Huntley's got to go quick, and he gets Marquis at first. Torrealba came pretty far down the line as nobody's at third base. So the Rockies with a base hit can tie up the baseball game, perhaps. Seth Smith up there with 2 outs.
Well, you can see already 50 strikeouts, 33 walks, the ratio a little bit higher than what you want to see. I think that's something that you obviously are trying to work on. You'd like to see 2-1, but in this ball game, he and Marquis both have struggled to find the strike zone consistently.
Smith walked his first time up. That's a strike. It's the 21st time that Seth is hit out of the leadoff spot. The club's 14-6 when he's at the top of the order. 2-0 San Diego. Rockies hitting in the second. And that may have been the best breaking pitch he's thrown.
Well, obviously, whatever Bud Black said to him, you haven't seen a lot of fastballs after that. You've seen him attack the strike zone, get a couple of outs, gets Smith to swing at a big bender here down in the ground.
Smith hitting .273 with 2 strikes this year. That is the best mark in the National League. He's behind 0-2.
Elevate the fastball. He didn't. He's going to get away with a ground ball over to Eckstein. See what kind of comments maybe he and Bud have a conversation down there.
Rockies leave 2 in scoring position. We'll go to the third. 2-0 Padres.
The long grind of a Major League Baseball season, and then it coming down to the last week of the season, you know, whether you get in the playoffs or not, something you've worked so hard for 6 months or even, you know, 8 months if you want to include spring training, you know, and to be this close and to be able to taste it and, you know, not want to, you know, take anything for granted or give anything away, it's different from anything.
Seth Smith before the ball game, and first pitch swinging is Adrian Gonzalez, and he fouls off this offering from Jason Marquis. 0-1. Gonzalez hit a fly ball to Smith in left field his first time up. 2-0 San Diego, a Venable home run, and then Oscar Salazar walked. Hundley walked behind him. Ultimately Tony Gwynn bounced a single up the middle for the second run, and this a pop up to center field. Fowler's got it. Time to go outside the box. Rockies through 151 games. This year 86 wins. In 07, when they ended up with 90 wins after 163 with the play-in game, they were 79-72. So the Rockies have an outstanding chance to break their all-time mark for wins in a regular season. Already this is their second best season. That's brought to you by Jack in the Box. Right now, try the mini Buffalo Ranch chicken sandwiches, 3 mini home-style chicken fillets on toasted mini buns. And this ball in the air to left field pretty deep. Smith near the line makes the catch, and Chase Headley is retired. Next up will be Venable.
Well, some of the fun things to do around the ballparks as this season starts to unwind here at Coors Field. One of the things, obviously, the Raleigh Towels. The first 25,000 are going to be given out on Saturday, September the 26th, when the Rockies take on the St. Louis Cardinals. So make sure you purchase your tickets at one of the outlets or go to online to ColoradoRockies.com.
Outside ball one on Venable. So I was asking Will the other day, George, I don't know if you saw this highlight. Will's little brother, Winston, is a linebacker for Boise State, and they're outstanding.
Yeah, ranked 8th in the country.
Yeah, they're terrific. And he sacked the quarterback in their last game. Was it against Fresno? I think it was against Fresno. And I'm telling you what, it was one of the great sacks I've ever seen. The running back came up on blitz pickup, and he hurdled them, flew right over the top, and just blew a big old kiss on the quarterback. And, you know, Will's heard a lot about it because, I mean, it was played over and over again on all the highlight shows. 3-0 on Venable. That's a strike. And he said, yeah, my brother always liked to hit. I said, he played baseball? I said, no, not really. He was a football player. I said, you play football? He goes, Mom wouldn't let me. By the time Winston came around, she just gave up. Winston's a 6 foot, 230-pound junior linebacker at Boise State. Todd Helton, a football background, of course. 1-2-3 inning for Marquis, his first of the evening. 2-0 San Diego. Rockies completed the sweep of the Padres with a 7-3 win. It was the Rockies' 84th victory of the year, a franchise record, and gave Francis his 17th W of the year, which tied the franchise record. Jeff went on to win 2 more in the postseason. 0-1 on Dexter Fowler, the 23-year-old from Georgia. And the breaking ball's low.
Well, it's kind of the MO on Dexter. It has been this year. Work ahead in the count and then go to the back foot slider. Trouble is, Dexter's starting to make people pay a little bit when they come to that inside part of the plate.
I'm glad you brought that up because Dex, you know, George, in the second half has hit a very solid .295. That's at the knees, 2-2. The Rockies do not have a hit. They have received 4 walks through 2 innings. And now 4 walks and a hit batter.
Look where the catcher's setting up. He wants the fastball. He wants it in the middle of the plate, and he wants it up. Stopper just overloads on this thing, comes right in. Dexter tries to turn and take it off the ribs. He got a little ribs or a little back of the arm, both, as it ricocheted around off the body. That's pretty obvious. Stopper not anywhere near where he wants to be with his command after the other day watching him in San Diego. 26 balls, 21 strikes, 47 pitches. Bud Black obviously not happy with the results. His high pitch count in this game. Happy with the results on the scoreboard.
Wow, 1-0.
Curveball slipped out of the hand.
But Dex had a lot of looks, George. And I know it's a 2-0 ball game. He had a lot of looks at Stoffer's first time on base.
Right guy at the plate right now to pull that off too. He can hit with strikes on, a count against him. A pretty good 2-strike hitter. You just got to be prepared to take advantage of it.
Todd got a pitch to hit there, fouled it straight back, 1-1.
A lot of times a pitcher and base stealer will have signs between them, whether it's just the adjustment of the helmet, cover up the CR on the helmet to let him know that he's going to go on this next pitch, or attempt to take the pitch, allow him to get there. But a lot of times too now the third base coach will relay it into the hitter that he is going on the next pitch. Or at least he has the steal sign. If he can get the right lead, get the jump, and make the move, he's going to go. Richie Dower, good man, a defensive minded genius. I like to say that because he sets up the infield an awful lot. The Rockies, where they are in the positioning, and he's had these studies over all these years of where balls are hit a majority of the time. And quite honestly, folks, I think it's helped keep Tulowitzki from having to be an acrobat so much, and Stewart's able to cut balls off in the hole. Barmas up the middle, being able to make a lot more plays.
Two and two on Todd. They'll check out Fowler again. Phil's leading 6-4 now in the 8th inning. Atlanta leading in New York 5-2. Pop up left side. Cabrera going out. Coming on is Salazar. That's the first out.
Tell you what, Detroit just pouring it on, 11-2 over Cleveland in the 7th inning. But Minnesota's beating the White Sox 5-1. That game's in the 5th. Minnesota trailing 2.5 games in the American League Central.
That'll bring up Tulowitzki, who hit a deep drive to center field his first time. That was tracked down by Tony Gwynn. Somebody's not going to have a voice later.
You can hear him too.
Yeah. "53 pitches in, 29 balls, 24 strikes for Tim Stoffer. Well, his club leads 2-0. Throw to second, and wow, they got Fowler easily.
How quick was he from behind the plate?
Really quick.
Let's run this in regular motion here. I want to see how quick this kid really was. Let me reset this watch we have up here. Give me a replay from the catcher catching. Just see what we got. Wow, 193, pretty quick. And it was right on the money, very accurate. He's throwing out a little over 21%. This throw well ahead of Dexter.
1-2.
Marks the 10th time Dexter has been thrown out this year. Successful 27 other times.
Tulowitzki's got a 6-game hitting streak, hitting .455 during the run. Hitting .302 against righties this year. And another full count from Stauffer. Tulowitzki quoted a couple of days ago about the Rockies in the final couple of weeks. He said, I want to make sure we've got our A game going. This ball lined to right, and Venable makes the catch. He goes, I want to get our A game going like we have played most of the second half of the season, so we can go into the playoffs playing our best baseball. 2-0 San Diego. All-wheel drive Hyundai Santa Fe. You get more for less at your Colorado Hyundai dealers. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Dex, take the sport out of finding local information with Dex. In print and online at dexknows.com. Oscar Salazar swings at the first pitch, hits a ground ball to Stewart, 1 out.
They start throwing strikes, you get great results, and he has done just that. 6 straight, 7 straight retired now by Jason Marquis. A couple of those on a strikeout. More importantly, a lot of ground ball outs. Veterans have the ability to make an adjustment on the fly or during the game and be able to fix something that might be a little bit out of whack. And obviously Marquis has been able to do that with the last 6 batters. Make that 7 now.
And the 1-0. Kick save and a beauty by Glenn Hoffman. I don't know if he was intending to do that.
Don't think so. I really don't think anybody's trying to get hit with a 100-mile-an-hour ground ball. He just doesn't have the Fred Astaire feet.
Glenn's trying to play it off right now. He's putting the he just off camera. He just put the helmet on the foot,
and he's looking down in the dugout, going, "All right, get the ice back going, will you?" Good things going. Very good, very accomplished third base coach. Worked with the Dodgers for a long time. Came here and was with his brother for a while till Trevor moved on to Milwaukee.
He's a manager for a while in L.A. Good slider. Nick Conley couldn't have hit that, George, with a boat paddle.
Kind of like the ocean. Good hard slider on that outside part of the plate. Just ran it out. Appeared to be the fastball till the very end. See, when you're going to miss a ball by that much, you have the pretty follow through, so everything looks like you know you're right on it.
That's his 3rd strikeout of the ball game for Marquis. It'll bring up Tony Gwynn. It'll take us to our Affleck trivia question. Barmitz hit his second career inside the park home run last night. Who holds the major league record?
You're going to be shocked
inside the park home run
by how many this is. But it was a while back. As I was talking to you and Doug prior to the game, you guys talked about the size of the ballparks. There's a lot of football was played. I remember Jersey City, New Jersey, AA one time. The light poles were at over 400 feet all the way around the outfield. They were inside the fence. The fence went beyond. It's unbelievable.
Wait a second. It was kind of like Houston is now. You got to run around the flagpole.
Well, yeah, but it was all the way around there. Well, there was another park at AA. I think Pittsfield in the Eastern League that had a train track. And he called time and let the train go through. That's true.
Round ball foul.
You don't think you're giggling like it's not true. It's true.
I'm trying to pick. You're saying there's train tracks?
Yeah, it ran right out from right center kind of to center, and they called time, opened the gates when the train came through. It came through every day about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So you stop BP, the train go through, and you put it back up.
Wait a second. What about when you run out there? You got to hurdle the tracks?
No, they disappear. They go down in the ground, and sod comes over them. Well, yeah, you got to run around the tracks.
They had good insurance for their outfielders. Here's the 1-2 on Gwynn. He went around. So Marquis has retired 9 in a row after giving up 2 runs in the second. The Rockies got to get some hits against Stauffer.
Initially, you think you're excited because you're on a team that was in the World Series in 2007, and you look at the lineup, you compare the lineups, and you compare the teams. There's not a lot of pieces missing from 2007 to now, so that was always good. At the same time, you don't know what you're getting yourself into until you actually go and see it, but I'm also in the same boat too because they don't know what they're getting, and it's all talk at that point. But I remember specifically 10 days out, maybe 10 or 12 days into spring training, coming home to wife and just saying, we've got a team. We've got a team.
Changeup misses 1-1. When your players talk like that, it cuts beyond the cliches that you so often hear. Yeah, we got a great team. We got a good clubhouse, good bunch of guys. It goes beyond that. When you listen carefully to the words of many of these Rockies players.
Let me ask you this question, though. Do you think you would have had those same answers in mid-May?
I think in terms of the closeness of the club, you would.
No, talking about success of winning baseball games and being the team that we're hearing them say.
No, it's very frustrating. You would have heard of guys very frustrated because they knew they were better than they were performing. 2-2 fouled off.
Well, it's wonderful because winning cures almost everything. It's just kind of a neat deal. More people show up at the ballpark. You're happy to get in a car and go to the yard every day. Jason Giambi, obviously on a lot of winners with Oakland and with the New York Yankees.
That hits it a long way to left, but it's going to be in the seats foul. Your windshield is damaged in any way, please call Elite Safelite Auto Glass 303-287-5000, online at safelite.com. Curveball, not close, 3-2. Stauffer, a couple of starts ago, faced the Rockies, gave up 1 run on 3 hits in 6 innings. He did walk 4 in that ball game. And he strikes out Brad for a 2nd time tonight. He has 2 punch outs, both of Hop. That'll bring up Torey Alba to answer our Affleck trivia question. Barber's couple inside the park home runs in his career. Who holds the big league record for inside the park home runs? Well, you got to go way back.
You're talking about going way back. Jesse Burkett, 1890 to 1905. He had 75 career home runs, 55 of them inside the park. That was with the Cleveland Spiders and St. Louis Browns. But how about this? In 1899, what do you think the record was of Burkett's Cleveland Spiders?
How many games did they play?
154.
The Spiders were tough. I think they won 138 that year.
Did they? Try 20 and 134. You having fun yet?
I got the wins and losses mixed up.
You did. Very confused.
That's a strike. It's 0-2 on Torey Alba. Now, since 1950, Willie Wilson has the record for most inside the park home runs, 13.
Well, he doesn't play anymore. That doesn't surprise me. AstroTurf, balls hitting the gap. He could fly.
Yeah, Willie Wilson, one of the fastest men to ever play the game. Here's the 1-2 on Torey Alba, and a weak ground ball to Adrian Gonzalez, and we'll go to Stauffer, 2 outs. Let's check in again with Mark Stout. Mark?
Hey guys, let's get to the XL Energy fun fact, which tonight is about San Diego's shortstop, Everett Cabrera, the young 22-year-old. Rockies fans may not know that Colorado discovered him in Nicaragua in 2003 when the Rockies put an ad in the newspaper there saying they were having a tryout. 100 players came in, and the Rockies liked what they saw from Cabrera. They signed him. San Diego liked him as well. This past January, took him as a Rule 5 pick, meaning he had to stay on the roster or else they'd return him to the Rockies. Well, you may remember the Padres traded Khalil Green to the Cardinals, who come into town this weekend. Cabrera stuck with the team, was injured this year, but they think that he is their shortstop of the future. He's only the 11th player in the history of the big leagues from Nicaragua to play here professionally. The first is the most famous. That's Dennis Martinez, who threw a perfect game, of course. And the guy that played the most games in the big leagues from Nicaragua, Marvin Bernard, who you remember from the San Francisco Giants. But Cabrera's got a bright future with San Diego, guys.
Yeah, they love him. They love how well he's handled himself. Bud Black called him a sponge yesterday. David Eckstein has the 1 hopper. Stewart retired. A 1-2-3 4th inning. Now we go to the 5th, and Stauffer has yet to give up the knock. 2-0 Padres. Jason Hamill's been throwing the baseball well. Well, Jason Marquis, after a rough second inning, is throwing the ball well. 64 pitches in. He's retired 9 straight. He's got Stauffer at the plate, who takes ball 1. Imagine that, George. They have a rain delay down in South Florida.
No way. Well, you know what? Rain has been going across our country at a very rapid pace. Florida the other day flooded in Georgia.
Yeah, we
totally
wish,
flooded.
You know, we wish all those folks down in Georgia
the other night, 2 nights ago in Oklahoma, they got 5.5 inches in 2 hours.
Some places in
a lot of water being dumped.
Some places in Georgia got up to 20 inches of rain. 1-2 on Stauffer. 2-2. Padres 31-21 over their last 52 ball games. And a ground ball sharply hit. Nice pickup by Tulowitzki. And almost picked that one. That's maybe the first time all year.
It kind of had a funny hop to it. And of course, here's what Todd's looking at is, now watch when this ball comes. A great play by Tulowitzki. We've seen this a lot. Get to the baseball, now off bounce throw. See how Todd's pulled up the line kind of parallel? And I'm not sure if what he's thinking, if the runner is going to come in and meet with him because he was kind of parallel up the first base line. So, I mean, when the ball came in there, I mean, that's where he was, and it just barely pops out of the glove.
So Stauffer with an infield hit, 3rd hit for the Padres. Everett Cabrera 0 for 2, 0 for 8 in his matchups with Marquis. One and 0. Two and 1. Well, this ball game standing in contrast to the one we viewed last night, where ultimately 21 runs were scored. Still early in the evening. Top of the 5th inning. 2-0 Padres. And that's a base hit. So after retiring 9 in a row, Marquis gives up back-to-back hits, and you're starting to get to the middle portion of the order. David Eckstein first, who handles the bat well. Geico quote of the day, Sam Crawford. He was on that list. We'd play a whole game with 1 ball if it stayed in the park. Lopsided and black and full of tobacco juice, licorice stains.
Not today.
No, not
they
today.
get an extra gust of wind, it's out. I loved one of the comments, I think it's Pete Rose or somebody, he goes, wait a minute, ball hits the dirt, you throw it out, but a guy hits a ground ball that hits the dirt 4 times and they don't throw it out. It makes sense of that.
And you witness it every day here. That's bunted in the air, and Stewart couldn't get to it.
Well, the hard part was, it used to be, you know, you'd stand over here and you see the first baseman a lot, and particularly the first base coaches, they'll toss balls up into the stands. If you did that 20 years ago, you got whacked with a $50 fine. Didn't happen.
Well, after the last work stoppage,
fan friendly, and justifiably so to an extent. I mean, you start to think about this. If you throw up a ball 18 times a game, it's 12.5 balls. That's basically about $140 for game balls. For that 12.5, maybe a little higher. I ask Schultz tomorrow.
Swinging bunt.
Good idea.
Good idea by Stewart to let that go foul.
So you multiply that out, you know, when you start to look at it, almost $150 a day times 162. Tracy's wondering if he nicked it. What's he looking at, man? Maybe not. Was he out of the box when he swung the bat?
No, I don't know what this is about, because Eckstein wasn't out of the box.
No, he wasn't out of the box. Stewart did a good job not touching that ball. So, I mean, Stewart could have grabbed the ball. Where's his foot at?
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, he is. He's a foot and a half out of that box.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what that was about. Eckstein swings and misses at a slider.
Should have been out.
He is
out now, but it wasn't even close. See, it's usually where you see Brian Jones or somebody out of the video room run up and go, Trace, you were right, he was out. They just replayed it and had a shot at it.
Now you got to deal with Adrian Gonzalez. He's hit the ball in the air twice. Fly ball to left field, fly ball to center field. Hitting .240 at his home park of Petco, .309 out on the road. It's a loud .309. Ball one. Marquis walked one in the first inning. Then in the second inning, he gave up a long home run to Will Venable. He walked the next two hitters, gave up a hit to Tony Gwynn. Settled in since then. 5 strikeouts for Marquis. 2-0 on Gonzalez, 3-0. Let's take a look at today's Quest high-speed pitch, brought to you by Quest High-Speed Internet. Stauffer at 93, Marquis at 91. Can't just groove one here, because Adrian
not with this guy.
Will be hacking. Ball 4.
He's got those RBIs for a reason. He's sitting there with 94 RBIs.
That was 4 walks.
Green lights.
And the bases are loaded for Headley.
Well, that big inning, 32 in the second, really drove this up. He's at 80 right now. Talking about Jason Marquis, cruised through the third and fourth, 19 total pitches to get through that. Been able to handle this situation all year with the bases loaded. The opposition just 1 for 14 against Jason Marquis. That's great.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Headley takes a strike. Headley hitting .373 over his last 13 games, so he's been pretty hot. Had a 5-hit ball game on Monday in Pittsburgh in 11 innings. Last night he was 1 for 4 and a walk.
Matt Hurgis back up after the pitch count at 82. Bases loaded, only 1 out. Marquis due up second. Hurgis' job would be to get out of this inning and prevent damage if he comes into it.
Pitcher had an infield hit. Stauffer. He's at third. Cabrera singled. He's at second. Gonzalez just walked on 4 pitches. 1 out, bases loaded, 2-0 San Diego. Here's the 0-2. And again, it's fouled off in virtually the same location. See if they move the ball away from Headley now.
Well, they did that on his previous at bat. That's when he hit the deep fly ball to left field to Smith.
They go change up away, and he wouldn't go fishing.
As a manager, all you can do is sit back and have the patience, watch, and hope you got the veteran on the mound that works his way out of this thing. Right now, he's ball club without a base hit against Tim Stauffer.
2-2 to Headley. 3-2. And Marquis just stamped the ground with both feet.
Well, it's a hard sinker that was down in the dirt right in front of him. He just kind of backhanded it because it skipped to him. On a 2-2 count. Venable, who hit a home run off of Marquis in his first at bat in this ball game, waits in the on deck circle.
Infield hoping for a chance to turn 2. 3-2 with the bases loaded.
Jim Tracy, I was going to just say Jim Tracy would trust an awful lot in Torrey Alba behind the plate to make sure he calls the right pitch, right time, in the right location. And he's thinking in his mind as a manager what pitch he would go with. Let it spin.
Well, he went slider down and in.
You know what? It's whatever pitch you're feeling very comfortable in as a pitcher at that time. That's the pitch you got to go to. If you're jamming the sinker down in the ground, then you got to pick something else to go to. You'll see a flash of numerous signs here. Whether working first, second, third sign, and then the location will move right at the very end of it.
And again, a slider. Headley could have packed a sandwich. He's been up there for a while. 9th pitch of the at bat.
There's a fastball away, but it was up.
Pitch, yeah.
But it was a fastball up again, much like it was on that previous at bat. You're trying to run that hard sinker down. You're trying to get you a double play ball. Not a lot of speed at first base in Gonzalez.
So Marquis wins the battle, and he ultimately gets him with that slider that he kept hunting to the back foot.
Well, he fouled off a number of them. There's no question about that part. With the bases loaded, wanting to be an RBI guy, and he put it right in the perfect place. On top, in the Hyundai Cam, watch this ball drop to the back corner. Right where you want to put it, but typically when you're ahead in the count, but on a 3-2 count, did a good job putting it where he needed it, got the out.
6 strikeouts for Marquis, 2 gone, bases still loaded. You're not out of the woods with Venable at the plate. Home run and a ground ball to second for Venable. Strike 1. Venable back on July 24th was hitting .204. Since then, he's hitting .305, including 11 home runs. Think about it, George. 11 home runs in 2 months. Big, strong kid, 6'5".
And if you're Marquis, you worked yourself to this position to get this final out. It should give you momentum and a lift on the offensive side of baseball. The problem is you're at 92 pitches too.
One, and this ball's hit to the gap in right center field. The trail runner's Adrian Gonzalez. He is going to get a green light from Glenn Hoffman, and he is going to score. It is a 3-run double for Venable. He has driven in 4 of the 5, and the Padres lead it 5-0. Yeah, he was able to make a pitch to Chase Headley. He could not do it to Venable.
Well, you see Torrealba reach back to the middle of the plate on the inside, and you can see on the Hyundai Cam a mislocation by Marquis. He'd have reached back right here. Torrealba, he wanted that ball down and away from him, and then Venable with a line shot into right center.
Now this has to be, George, particularly disturbing for a couple of people. Most notably Jason Marquis, because his personal slump continues tonight. And obviously for Jim Tracy, disappointed to see his 15-game winner again not have the command he wants and giving up a decent amount of runs. Here's the pitch to Salazar. It's 2-1. Venables 4 RBIs, ties a career high he set about 6 weeks ago against Cincinnati. With Marquis due up second next inning, Jim Tracy wants to see Jason get out of this inning himself and not have to go to the bullpen and then pinch hit.
You're watching Torrealba there making kind of a half circle in front of the plate, going to both sides of it. This walk, that's not going to make it out of here. Jim Tracy's going.
5 walks. So another tough outing for Marquis. He goes just 4 2/3, and Matt Hergis is going to have to come on. "5-0 San Diego." Back to Coors Field right after this. Jason Marquis gone after 4 2/3. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Comcast. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 800 Comcast. Matt Hergis looking for the final out in the 5th inning. Venable at second. He doubled in 3 runs a moment ago. Oscar Salazar walked behind him. And this is Nick Hundley.
Well, you see Hergis, he got 7.6 strikeouts. He doesn't walk people. He will pound the strike zone, but he has tendency he's going to get up a little more than a hit per inning when he's out there over a 9-inning span. Right now, Jobs just kind of turned the faucet off.
And the last time Hergis was out there was in San Francisco 8 days ago. 1-1. Nick Hundley gave everybody a scare with 2 outs in the 9th inning, the tying run at third base last night, and the go-ahead run at first. He had a rocket to left. I asked Seth Smith, I said, "Do you think you had it the whole way?" He said, "Yeah," because it was a low-line drive. He said, "I knew he hit it perfectly, but fortunately it stayed low and didn't get up. If it got up, it would have gone out." It was hit that well by Hundley. In fact, Jim Tracy thought off the bat from his perch that it was going to go over Smith's head. Curveball misses. It's 3-1. Dodgers have lost to Washington 5-4. They were up in that ball game 4-2, and then the Dodgers caught them late. Three and 2 on Hunter. Fouled off. We'll do the 3-2 thing again with 2 outs. Both runners were moving, and they will be again here. It's back-to-back ball games, George, with the Rockies starter. Couldn't get through 5 innings. In fact, yesterday De La Rosa didn't get out of the 3rd inning, and tonight Marquis doesn't get out of the 5th.
Yeah, that's been the strength of this ball club really since Jim Tracy took over. It was the pitching staff.
Ball 4. Now they're loaded again. They're loaded for Tony Gwynn. Now the Rockies have walked 6 in the game. 5 by Marquis, 1 now by Herges. Gwynn an RBI single in the 2nd inning, and he struck out in the 4th. With Gwynn coming up, the Padres have hit around here in the 5th inning. Rob Drake indicates a strike, 1-1. Gwynn came back to the Padres for Jody Garrett earlier this year. Trade with Milwaukee. 2-1.
Well, another Rocky farmhand, used to be, traded over to Boston. Didn't forget about Chris Naverson pitched tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers.
He came in the Larry Walker deal. 2 balls and a strike, and a slow ground ball to Helton. He's going to have to hustle. And ball came out. Everybody's safe. Another run scores. It's 6-0. Now this game's turning ugly fast from a Rockies perspective.
Got a lot of runs getting put on the board in a hurry. Just going to be very quick up this line. Watch when Helton gets to the baseball. He knows he's got to have a quick exchange. But one thing you got to do as a pitcher is really focus on catching the baseball. Look on the Hyundai cam here. As you watch, and Herges is coming in on this. Caught him on the heel, but did you see his eyes and head where they were? They're looking to find the bag, not where the ball was. It was anticipating where the ball was. That's a great replay. Good camera work.
Well, Tim Stoffer's back at the plate. He had a sharp ground ball up the middle. The Tulowitzki glove, and he threw on 1 hop to first. And Helton, who is the master at picking balls, this was a big hop, and the ball looked like it hit in the heel of Todd's glove. He would have been out. Didn't hold it. Went as an infield hit. And Cabrera singled. There was a strikeout of Eckstein. And Gonzalez singled with 2 outs. The bases clearing double by Venable. And now another run is scored. Infield hit credited to Gwynn. And an RBI.
it appears Yoeli Shashin's starting to warm up down in the Rockies bullpen. That's to come in at the start of the next inning, because you know you're going to end up pinch hitting for Matt Herges. Trying to give the former starter who's worked out of the bullpen here with the Rockies, with the exception of the one start against Pittsburgh, some time to get loose in this cold weather.
2-2. Said earlier when Chase Headley was at bat for a 10-pitch at bat that he ought to have packed a sandwich. He was up there so long. Well, the guys in the field should have packed sleeping bags, because the Rockies have been on defense for about a half hour. They've now changed that to an error. It's an error on Matt Herges. Swing on a miss, and the Rockies will get to see the dugout again. 6-0 San Diego, a 4-run fifth.
This is my 4th uniform this year, and truthfully, and it sounds easy to say this, but this is where I wanted to be to begin with. I didn't want to be. Cleveland's a great place, but this is where I wanted to be. So the fact that I'm here, and I didn't really have to do anything miraculous to get here. It's just it was given to me, and I'm not entitled to it. But the fact that I'm back in this clubhouse, it's immeasurable. I can't even put it into words.
Yeah, you'll never find a baseball player who's more appreciative and understanding of the great privilege it is to be talented enough and to have worked hard enough to get to this level than a Matt Herges. That pitch misses 1-1 on Clint Barmas. The Rockies have a lot of catching up to do. Down 6-love, and they don't have a hit. Eric Young Jr. is on deck for Matt Herges. 1-2. Stoffer's been all over the parking lot, George, but he's lived to tell about it.
Got a goose egg. Got 4 goose eggs up, trying to work one here. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes. He's throwing a lot of pitches. 76.
He's walked 4 and hit a batter. Outside. Right center field, and nobody's going to catch this one. It'll be a double for Barmas, so the Rockies get their first hit. The seal is broken.
Barmish doubled out into right center field on a ball that was down and away from him. And again, that's what a lot of teams like to work, Clint. They seem to have success out there. But that ball was down. Barmish stayed on top of it, just pushed it out into right center field. Neither the speed of Gwen nor Venable could get to this baseball, and one hops off the right center field fence.
Eric Young Jr. will be the pinch hitter. EY 2 for 11 pinch hitting. Marquis gives up 6 runs in 4 2/3, 5 earned.
Well, they're giving up a couple of hits until the 5th inning. Those 2 hits, one of them a home run left yard and a single. Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, the big blow was the Venable,
Sure.
obviously, the Venable bases clearing double. He gets out of that, it's a 2-0 ball game. And you certainly don't have the same feeling that you do right now. An enormous hole.
Well, this is an area where the Rockies had struggled. Ground ball over to Eckstein over Terry Young. Out on the road, the Rockies 9 for 29 with runners in scoring position. Just here, including last night, 6 for 15. They're 0 for 4 tonight so far. It's an opportunity for Seth Smith to get Clint Barmis in.
Smith a walk and a ground ball to second. You got to start somewhere, chipping away. Guarantee Bud Black doesn't think this game's over. Not in the 5th inning, not against this offense, not in this ballpark. Smith's got 14 ribbies his last 11 ball games here at Coors Field. He's hit much higher at home than he has out on the road. 365 versus 241. And it's fouled off. Glenn Allen Hill was watching Glenn Hoffman. He said, you know, that foot thing works, especially when it's not hit that hard. And a base hit. So Smith drives in the Rockies' first run. Barmis scores for Seth Smith, his 53rd RBI.
I would not be a bit surprised after this half inning if Stoffer is replaced by somebody out of their bullpen. The double, the pull by Young puts him in the scoring position, and then Smith, as he does so many times, takes advantage, slices this thing through the hole out of the reach of Eckstein. Just keep it going. Just keep packing away. Get to 1, get 2, get 3 runs this inning, and then just try to carry it over to get yourself back into the game.
I'd be surprised if Dexter tries to bunt. He didn't there.
Well, Headley thinking the same thing. He crept in about 8 or 10 steps in front of the third base bag to field that bunt.
I've seen Dex bunt both ways for hits. And that's a strike. It's 0-2.
I got a feeling you're going to see a hard curveball in the dirt here.
See something on down and in. That is the book on Dexter Fowler when you get ahead. Well, they went away.
Well, a lot of left-handers will do that. I mean, and this is something you look at. But a lot of times, what you as a pitcher, you're sitting here working this square, and if you're looking at triangles here, they'll throw left-handers up here out of the zone because it's tough to get on top of the ball. I mean, typically they're going to pop it up. That was a hanger.
The ball's hanging in the air. Fortunately, doesn't hang long enough for Salazar
right there,
to get there.
Nice catch.
If your windshield's chipped, call Colorado's #1 team, Elite Safelite Auto Glass, 303-287-5000, online at safelite.com. Good eye. Rockies, by virtue of their win last night, now 32-35 inside their division. Strike 3. So Stauffer with his 3rd strikeout as he freezes Fowler. Long walk back to the dugout.
Over in San Diego did a lot of this too. Backdoor breaking balls. Did it catch enough of the plate? We'll find out right here. Sure did. Just nipped the corner.
Smith at first with 2 outs. Here's Helt. A walk and a fly ball to left field. Todd has hit over 300 every calendar month this year. He's below 300 so far in the month of September, but he's got a full week left to rectify that. A ballpark he has always performed well in.
Todd Helton, when you start to look at these numbers career-wise, it's just amazing for Todd Helton, for me. And obviously this one here at 259 is going to come up, but steady Eddie.
Yep, Coors Field 361 in his career outside. Webb throwing.
Big arm, hard thrower, good sinker. The guy in the on-deck circle, he's just getting ready to hit. Troy Tulowitzki's had 2 very, very good swings on Mr. Stauffer. That's going to get a visit from Darren Bosley out of the dugout, their pitching coach. Make sure they're on the right page with him. You remember Tulowitzki, deep fly ball to center, and then a line shot in the right field corner that Venable caught.
And the Rockies are one big swing from being right back in this ball game. 2 on, down 6-1, bottom of the 5th inning. And the right man at the plate, Troy Tulowitzki, 29 home runs, 82 driven in. Deep drive to center and a line drive to deep right. Those were the 2 swings George was alluding to. Rockies have 2 hits, but Stauffer has allowed 8 base runners, 5 walks, and a hit batter.
But the one thing he has done when he gets men on base, and this is something he's done all year long, runners on base, 216 average. He's only given up 8 home runs. Time to give up another, give up his 9th. He's only given up 8 home runs. Right-handers, 277 with 6 home runs against him.
And he gets that on the outside corner. It's 0-2. .98 pitches in for Stauffer. We talk about a quarterback, George, going through his progression. It's like a pitcher gets ahead 0-2. He's going to throw one that just make sure he's not close with it, but real nasty. And then the 1-2 a little closer. And as a hitter, you try to work yourself back in. And that's what Tulowitzki just did there. It's now a 2-2 count. And what a different feeling for an offensive player.
Well, it's supposed to be. I mean, you get to that even count side of things. This is where guys kind of separate themselves, both pitcher and hitter. With the ability to throw something off speed into the strike zone, and for a hitter to have the ability to handle that pitch. Whatever it is, they want to go away with it. They want to put it on the outside corner.
And base hit off the end of the bat. That'll get Smith to the plate. It's 6-2. So Troy Tulowitzki used every centimeter of his 34-inch bat and pokes it over Eckstein's head. The battle hit the graveyard, but it drove in a run. Number 83 for Tulowitzki. And Bud Black's coming out. Stauffer's not going to get a chance to win this ball game.
No, well, he owes it to everybody else in the Western half, in the Western Division, to make sure he tries to win this ball game as he does every one of them. That bat just sawed in half right off the end of this thing. And he gets dumped out into the outfield. When it does, Smith's going to come around third base. He's going to have a pretty good shot at it. They're not going to make the throw at the plate. He realizes that looking at Hundley. Mr. Stauffer very disappointed with a 6-0 lead. Couldn't find the strike zone. He's not going to figure into the W if they go on to win this ball game.
Check what happened in New York at Citi Field. The Braves and the Mets. And Kelly Johnson off of Takahashi. That scored a run. And it is now final. Atlanta wins 5-2. The Braves, who started the day 5 back in the wild card, now 4.5 back, depending on how this ball game ends up. The Rockies have Brad Hobb coming up against Ryan Webb.
Well, Webb, you look at left-handers, they're 9 for 40, 225, so that's why he's out here. The longest relief outing he's had of the year. 2 innings. He's done that a couple of times, the last against Atlanta. Scoreless, 15 of 19 appearances that he's been out there since August the 7th.
Brad 0 for 2 strikeouts, but that was against Stauffer, who goes 4 2/3 like Marquis. And that's fouled back. Ryan is the son of Hank Webb, who was a big league pitcher. He was with the Mets between 72 and 76. Spent 1977 with the Dodgers, his dad did. Got 53 ball games.
What organization was he with? The Mets?
Primarily the Mets. Finished up with the Dodgers, George. Two-strike count on Hop. 1-2. Webb will run it up there in the mid-90s.
Good hard slider, big strong kid. Over from Oakland.
Made his big league debut just a couple of months ago. Helton's at second, Tulowitzki at first. Rockies with a couple of runs here in the fifth. And this goes off of Hundley's glove. And now a single could bring 2 more home. That'll be a pass ball on Nick Hundley. Yeah, they're calling it a wild pitch.
Oh, tough call. Should have caught that ball.
Count even at 2-2. Outfield extremely deep. And it's 3-2 with Torrealba on deck. This fifth inning has taken a day and a half. Padres got 4 in the top of the fifth. And hitting around the Rockies already with 2, hoping for more. Here's the 3-2. Outside, ball 4.
Well, get some fans worked up. You start to get things going in your direction. A little noise into the ballpark. And the one guy, the hottest guy that has been of late with men in scoring position has been this guy, Jorvik Torrealba, who's coming to the plate now. The hats are on backwards, looking for some runs.
You're right, George. Right man. The way he has swung the bat. And with the bases loaded, 3 for 5. He's been able to slow things down and not get overly aggressive and impatient in these situations. Here we go. Takes a strike. Interesting alignment in the outfield, George. Oscar Salazar is in left center field. Gwynn is swung over toward right center.
But if they're going to pitch him away and think he's going to go away in the outfield. The infield playing straight up.
He's out in front there. It's 0-2.
Yeah, the average fastball, 88-91 in the big leagues. That was 88-mile-an-hour slider. 17 for 26. Are you kidding me? Runners in scoring position. You couldn't have handpicked a guy to come out swing in this situation right now.
Helton cheerleading now from third base. Got to protect with 2 strikes. Real close, 1-2. Did he go? Nope. 2-2.
Tell you what, he almost had to check this swing. Not so much check swing here. I thought the pitch wasn't that bad either. Torrealba shaking the head no. He heard him ask, check it immediately. Confident that he did not go around. I didn't think he did.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Bases loaded. And a ground ball to second. Epstein's got it. And he gets Torrealba. In the inning, the Rockies score a couple of runs. They leave them loaded. It's 6-2 as we go to the 6th.
And when he pitched behind in the count, the hitters started to refine their zone an awful lot, Drew, and as a result, he had to come in and use a lot more of the plate than he likes to use, and some walks and a couple of key swings by Will Venable got him in serious trouble.
Jim, as always, we appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Drew.
First pitch from Chacin is in there for a strike, and George, this is an important moment, obviously, for Chacin. I mean, this ball game is far from being out of reach. This isn't just a mop up and get the club to the clubhouse at the end of the day. I mean,
well, you got a chance to win the ball game.
Yeah, put up some zeros.
Well, yesterday, they threw out yesterday. Bilal went out and did just that, threw a lot of strikes. Tough play, a lot of speed. Got to get rid of him. Hurry, he'll do it. Patience. It kind of relax your body there as a pitcher, because if you don't, you're gonna have a poor throwing motion to the first base. You're gonna throw it away. Back up to where you know you can get to the baseball. See, watch his footwork. He's got everything in line, and then just a very nice throw over to Todd Helton to get to first man Cabrera, who can really fly up the line.
Here's David Eckstein, 0 for 2 and a walk. And that pitch is in there for a strike at 91 miles an hour. David Eckstein this year leading all Major League second basemen in fielding percentage. He's made just one error. 996. Spent a good portion of his career playing shortstop. That's a strike. They have two players leading their respective positions in fielding percentage. One playing and one not playing. Kevin Kuzminoff, who normally plays every day at third, has been battling a calf injury. This ball's popped up right side. Helton at foul ground will have it. Kuzminoff's made only 3 errors all year at third base. That's unheard of.
Well, Kuzminoff, I mean, their defense, and again, he's been hurt for a little bit, but their defense is very solid with their ball club. Glenn Hoffman does an awful lot of work with the infield.
That fielding percentage for Eckstein is 996. Placido Polanco 2 years ago at Detroit. Guy we got to see the last couple of years, George. I think he's the best 2-hole hitter in baseball. He went the entire 2007 season without making an error at second base.
Well, something under the radar a little bit. The guy behind the plate for the Rockies for the last 20-something days too. It seems to be out there every day. Your Torrealba's yet to make an error and handling a baseball an awful lot.
Top of the 6th, Rockies trailing by 4 runs. Release Chacin. And a good fastball on past Adrian Gonzalez. It's 1-2.
Where was this pitch? We showed you a few minutes ago about up into the strike zone with a fastball above the belt, out over the plate. Sometimes left-handers will pull off of that pitch and do that lazy fly ball to the left or swing and miss. It's one of the pitches that Chacin has worked on ever since he signed and was in Casper, Wyoming. The outstanding changeup. At a young age, you get a lot of guys, a lot of hitters that'll chase after those pitches. That's been one of the adjustments he's had to make at the big league level. He's repeating the strike zone a lot.
And he gets a fly ball to Fowler in center field. A strong 6th inning for Chacin. He'll get that offense right back to the fat rack. Middle of 6, 6-2 Padres.
Welcome back to the 6th inning. Time for the Coors Light freeze cam. Tulowitzki breaks his bat, but punches a single to right field to score a run. Covering a slider out on the outside corner. Good piece of hitting on a 2-2 pitch. That was a Frostbrewed Coors Light freeze can. Ryan Webb still on the hill. He got the final out in the 5th inning. Ian Stewart, Clint Barmas, and we'll see. Joe Thatcher, most experienced left-hander the Padres have. Stewart a walk and a ground ball to second. Outside, ball 1. Rockies won 11-10 last night. They had 14 hits. They scored in every inning last night except the 5th. Tonight, to make up for it, George, they haven't scored in any inning except the 5th.
Well, you're philosophizing on me again. Or whatever you're doing.
Or something like that.
Yeah, whatever you're doing. Not sure.
2 balls and a strike on Stewart. Rockies trying to keep the win streak intact at home, 8 in a row. Longest win streak ever at Coors Field, told you earlier, is 1996. They won 11 in a row. Their second longest win streak ever at home. As this ball is a towering shot to deep right. Did Stewart get it? The leap and the catch. Wow, by Gwynn.
Huh. Thought so. I mean, Tony Gwynn Jr., a kid that played a little bit in this park, but not a whole lot. Obviously was there to see this and carry it. Let's take a look at this catch by Tony Gwynn. I mean, he got over right in front of the fence. See the fly to the ball coming right up here halfway through your screen. Rats, that's out of here. Nice catch. Went up and got the baseball right in front of the screen and able to get the out. On the Hyundai Cam, I love these shots. Watch this when he's going to go up, time it, everything just perfect. Yeah, I don't know if it got out or not. I think he probably would have hit the top part of the fence.
Barmas doubled his last time up. 1-1 on Clint. Matt Merton has come out on deck. Talking about the win streak of 1996 when they won 11 in a row. Their second long win streak, 9 straight at home. And that was also in 1996. So this is their 3rd longest winning streak ever, 8 in a row at home, and they've done that 7 different times. There's Merton. And a base hit for Barmas with his 5th hit in the last couple of ball games. Opportunity for Matt Merton, hitting for Chassin.
Let's take a look at this pitch and where it was. It appeared to be a slider, but it was out over the plate. And remember that last pitch he hit in the right center for a double was a fastball away from, cutting away from.
You got to figure, George, that these two have faced each other in AAA this year.
Well, you'd think so. And again, if he has, obviously, the way Merton swung the bat down there, you'd think that this guy may not have too many good memories about Matt Merton, because he's obviously had a very good year in AAA.
1 ball, 1 strike on Matt.
Good arm. And that last fastball at 95.
Two and 1. Merton hit .324 this year for the Sky Sox. And it's a 3-1 count. Seth Smith's on deck.
With Fowler, switch hitter, and then help. You may see Joe Thatcher in the ball game, especially if Merton reaches. Bottom of the 6th inning, Rockies trailing 6-2. Fouled into the upper deck. Full count on Merton. Merton out of Georgia Tech. His little brother plays at Georgia Tech. There's Joel Peralta. He apparently will be next for the Rockies on the mound. Crowd of more than 29,000 tonight. $29,597 to be exact. Battle in the elements. 48 degrees game time temperature, same as last night. And the temperature's not rising. Strike 3 on Merton. Merton looking back at Rod Drake.
Well, let's take a look at our pitch refresher. It's going to be brought to you by Coors Light. It all started with Matt Merton. We started out here, went fastball away with the first pitch. It was not there at 96 miles an hour. Came back with a fastball down the middle at 95 to even the count, 1-1. Fastball out of the zone, low in the zone. He came right back on the outer half again with a fastball at 95. Merton able to foul off, probably ball 4. 95 up in the zone. This one in on the knuckles at 95, and then the hard slider on the black called strike 3. Bend it. And that pitch refresher brought to you by Coors Light.
Webb is gone. Thatcher on to face Seth Smith. 2 outs. Runner at first when we come back. Six-2 San Diego leading the Rockies. Juan Uribe, San Francisco down in Phoenix at Chase Field, and he pulls one of the gap in left center field, doubling in the first run of the ball game. The big kid, Kung Fu Panda, making it all the way from first base. Thatcher against Seth Smith, and that slider misses ball 1. Lefty's hitting just 179 against Thatcher.
Yeah, that's his job. He'll come in and try to get out of an inning or work his way out of an inning against the left-handers. Sweeping slider, throws really across his body, low angle on the arm, and the arm slot, make it more difficult to pick the ball up.
Two balls and a strike. Clint Barmas single with 1 out. He's at first base. Smith owns 3 home runs left on left this year. 3 of his 15.
Yeah, that's pretty high. You can't show this, and I don't want you to. But I'm watching one guy tried to catch it, and then here came two grown men in their mid-30s chasing after a ball. And this little 10-year-old kid snatched it and held it up in the air like, is this what you're looking for? And just walked back to his seat.
Thatcher strikes out Smith. And the Rockies are done in their half of the 6th inning. We move on to inning number 7. It's 6-2 Padres. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. 7th inning, Coors Field. Drew Goodman, George Frazier, Mark Stout. Padres 6, Rockies 2. Rough outing for Jason Marquis tonight. Tim Stauffer didn't have much command either. He just went 4 2/3. And here in the 7th inning, Joel Peralta will take over for the Rockies. The Rockies needed 8 pitchers to get through the ball game last night. They're on 4 this evening.
Yeah, one of the hardest things to do for a guy like Peralta and even Rincon, that you do, there's such a wide time frame in between times that you're out on the mound. So they locate, be in the strike zone, playing catch in the outfield, trying to stay sharp or as sharp as you can. Difficult to do.
Headley, Venables, Salazar. Headley's 0 for 3 tonight. 1 strike count.
That's Mulvey starting for Arizona, isn't it? Sure is, against Sanchez.
Yep, that's the matchup.
We used to play a game in a bullpen all the time. You had to memorize all the numbers on the boards.
I'm sure you guys had to play a lot of games in the bullpen. A lot of idle time, huh? Here's the 0-2.
Still doing it. It's kind of fun to do.
Here's the 1-2 to Headley. And it is a bouncing ball foul.
Well, what is it? Tim Hudson beat Pilfrey 5-2. Is that right? I'm trying to remember numbers. Some of these guys can't get. The loser tonight in the Philly game, we're going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. Lidge again.
And another foul ball. Milwaukee beat the Cubs 3-2 tonight. Houston shut out St. Louis 2-0. So St. Louis, even though they didn't win, the magic number is down to 1 for the Cardinals to win the NL Central. Got it. Good pitch. So Peralta strikes out Headley. Yeah, let's take you to South Florida. After the rain, they resumed. Remember, Philadelphia was ahead. Brett Carroll at the plate. Hanley Ramirez is on base. Brad Lidge. His sliders hung. And Ramirez crosses home plate and then makes the mad dash for Brett Carroll for the celebration. Florida 7-6 over Philadelphia. The defending world champs have serious issues in the 9th inning. As good as Brad Lidge was a year ago, that's how tough a year it has been for the Cherry Creek product this year.
Talked to downstairs Dale Unser and Jim Fregosi Jr., the two scouts to cover the Rockies advancing for the rest of the year. I said, who's taking over the closer's role? And they said they're kind of flip-flopping back and forth. Madsen and Lidge.
One and one on Will Venable. Brad Lidge's numbers this year, not pretty. That's how cruel the game could be. He did not blow a save the entire 08 season.
Kind of going back to the way it was in Houston when he struggled that year. Yeah. 12, 13 saves. How many has he blown up?
Well, he's 0-8 this year. 11 blown saves. And his ERA is 7.48.
And not anything typical of what, obviously, what he did a year ago when he was the town's hero. But you are in Philadelphia, so you're no longer the hero. And that's a team in first place.
Yeah, I mean, you're forcing Charlie Manuel's hand. You can't just keep giving him the baseball.
No, you can't. Yeah, absolutely you can't.
2-1 on Venable. Other news, George, from that National League East. Your old friend Bobby Cox announcing that he'll be back for 2010, 21st season.
Very happy to see that.
As the skipper of the Braves, but he also announced that at the conclusion of 2010, he's going to move upstairs.
Well, that doesn't really surprise me. I mean, that's where it all started for him in Atlanta, started for him in Toronto. He liked the idea of building, evaluating. Don't be surprised, because what the Braves have done, and it's smart to do. What the Braves have done, they own the team in Rome, Georgia, which is their Sally League, South Atlantic League team. They own the team, their AAA team, Gwinnett, which is right outside of Atlanta. So they give Bobby a chance to go down and evaluate managers, coaches, players, do the whole deal. Tom Kelly does that for the Minnesota Twins now. He goes to spring training, he's in uniform, but he spends 90% of the time over in the minor league park.
Oscar Salazar, 0 for 1, a couple of walks. Takes a strike. Two strikes on Salazar. Fowler in right center field makes the catch. That's 2 outs. And that'll bring up Nick Hundley. Hey, there are only 3 days left for the Rocky Mountain Raffle Grand Prize drawing. Entry deadline's this coming Friday. Go to RockyMountainHomeRaffle.com. Sign up for your chance to win $1 million. $1 million ski home or a Denver loft. 3 great prizes. Benefits the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Denver. Nick Hundley, 8 for his last 19 at the plate. He's walked a couple times tonight. Jason Marquis walked 5 and 4 2/3. Hergis walked 1. Chacin pitched a 1-2-3 inning. Peralta's walked 1. That's 7 walks allowed by the Rockies.
Yeah, this year they've walked 9 in a game 3 different times. The last September the 6th against Arizona.
I'm trying to think, George, of the relievers that throw a split finger. Most of them preset the split. It seems like that.
Yeah, a lot of guys will. I never did. I threw one. A lot of guys, because it changes. And a lot of times, if you split, if you watch them come up, it's not true outside of it. As they come into the glove, they'll switch to the slider, fastball, whatever pitch it may be. If you constantly have movement in your glove, obviously you're indicating to the hitter you're getting another grip. So that's why a lot of times when guys preset it, and they'll jam it once they get up on top.
That's also why I assume it's taught, George, where you'll see some pitchers, regardless of pitch, as part of their set, they'll shake their glove as if they're doing something.
Sometimes, yeah, they will. I mean, a lot of guys do that, trying to set things. But I think the important side of that thing is make sure that if you are going to throw the split, and again, it depends on the size of your hands. If you don't have big hands, obviously preset it a little bit, and you can rotate off of that into your fastball grip or into your slider grip. It really depends on the size of the hand, being able to do it. Try to disguise a lot of different things. Well, you have to. So you're kind of moving around inside the glove here.
Splitter count. It's a fastball and a ground ball to Stewart. He throws out Huntley. Peralta, a pretty solid 7th inning. Stretch time at Coors Field. Rockies trailing the Padres by 4 runs. You with your money. And by Bird Auto. To find great deals on used cars, visit ColoradoWheelsOnline.com or pick up a magazine at over 200 locations. That's a different shot of the ballpark. On a chilly autumn night, 6-2 San Diego. Drew Goodman, George Frazier upstairs. Mark Stout out and about. Dexter Fowler against Joe Thatcher, strike 1. Ball up the middle. And here goes Dexter to second with a double. How many guys in baseball could hit a 15-hopper up the middle and end up on second?
Well, you got to know your situation and what you're doing as a base runner. All the outfield's playing deep. You don't want anything over your head. You don't want any doubles. And then when you get a guy with speed that hits it like this, you got a long ways to come get the baseball. Look how far Gwynn's coming from center field, because as you get beyond the 7th and beyond, you don't want anything over your head. Dexter took advantage of it because he knew the situation, knew where Gwynn's playing, as he is now very deep in center field.
Helton at the plate. More of an 0-2 type of swing than a fresh count swing by Todd.
Helton in his career, 3 for 7, 429 against Thatcher. Tulowitzki in the on-deck circle, 0 for 2.
Rockies got both their runs in the 5th inning. They sent 8 to the plate. They left them loaded when Torrealba grounded out. They caught the outside corner. 2-2. Tulowitzki an RBI hit in that 5th inning. He's waiting on deck. And this ends up popping up right in front of the plate. Hundley sprawled out to try to get a piece of it. It's a wild pitch on Thatcher. And now Dexter's 90 feet from the promised land.
And if you're the Padres, you got a 4-run lead. The one thing you're going to do right now is when this ball comes off, look how far he's got to backhand this thing. Helton does a little dance. It catches the umpire's shin guard. Otherwise, it goes all the way back to the screen.
And Todd hits it in the air to deep center field. That'll get Dexter home easily. Sac fly for Helton. That's his 80th RBI. And you heard Jim Tracy when he was on with us after the 5th inning say, we're a third of the way back. That's what he told his team as they headed out to play defense. Well, now they're halfway back.
Dexter Fowler doing his job, hustling into second base. The wild pitch put him at third. Bud Black's going to make a double switch and go to his bullpen. 57th sacrifice fly for the Rockies this year. That leads the major leagues.
Yeah, Bud's making changes. Rob Drake's making changes. We're going to do a little business with you at home. Come back, tell you about the changes after this. George, listen to this. Right-handed hitters this year against Adams, 5 for 51.
That's not very good, is it?
It's an .098 batting average. Troy Tulowitzki will try to help out his right-handed brethren and throw out a hit.
Well, he's out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Resides in Sinton, Texas. That's what Drew's talking about. Lefties haven't done a whole lot either, obviously. 155.
He had a strained right shoulder. Checked him out. On her 21st birthday, she'd like Troy to hit number 30. One out, nobody on, 6-3. Adams last year, late in the season, underwent shoulder surgery to repair a torn right labrum.
When you think back, he was with Milwaukee in 04. Bouncing back and forth between the big leagues and minor leagues. 04 and 05 with them, and then 08 with San Diego. Pitched in 54 ball games in 08.
2-strike count. When the Rockies were in San Diego, he was still on the DL, so he didn't appear in that series on the last road trip. And this is a shot that Eckstein was positioned perfectly on.
Well, I guarantee you, Adams lost a little bit of his belt line on this thing. You know, anytime you fall off to that first base side of complete pitches and you happen to hang one, you got a chance you might eat a baseball. See how far he fell off? And he just tried to get his chest out of the way. The ball was all the way by him by the time he reacted to it. That's how hard this ball was hit. But Eckstein played perfectly. He was able to get Tulowitzki.
2 outs, Brad Hopp. 0 for 2 and a walk. Read you the right-handed numbers. It's not like lefties have feasted on Adams. They're 9 for 58, a 155 average.
Flores and Daly, the left-right combination of the Rockies, warming up for the 8th inning. The Rockies don't get another run here. They might go to Peralta and let him go back out.
That's right down the middle. It's 1-2. Ground ball to Eckstein. Routine play. Adams gets the 2. He's asked to get ground balls to second base. Rockies get a run. 6-3 as we go to the 8th. Here's tonight's Mercedes-Benz E-Class attention assist of the game. Deep drive, and Stewart thinks he may have a home run. Tony Gwynn says, I got it all the way. Nice catch by Tony Gwynn Jr. That's brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz. You must experience the amazing new E-Class. Top of the 8th inning. Tony Gwynn's going to lead it off. And Randy Flores is on to pitch the 8th inning. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Comcast. Call 800-COMCAST.
Now this left-hander comes in. Obviously going to have to try to face some lefties. And Tony Gwynn and Macias both left-handed. Macias entered the ball game, took Salazar's place. Randy Flores 11 hits per 9 innings, 11 strikeouts though to go along with that. Not going to get beat by walking people. The average is a little less than a walk for 9 innings. Tony Gwynn's had a pretty good night tonight. A couple of RBIs, 19 on the year now.
Rockies with 6 outs left on offense still. They figure, though, to get Gregerson and Bell the next couple of innings. Both of those guys were down last night. They probably wouldn't have pitched anyhow because of the score. They had worked 3 straight days in the Pittsburgh series. Flores got a hustle and gets through by a step. Time to check in again with Mark Stout. Tonight's Great Colorado Payback Sideline Report. Mark.
Hey, Drew George. I spoke to Houston Street today about his return to the mound, which of course happened last night. And I said, over the course of your rehab, did anyone say anything encouraging or particular to you? And he gave me a few examples. He said on September the 4th, 3 days after he went down with the tendonitis, Bill Guyvette, one of the VPs with the team, called him up and said, listen, I think that this team has a chance to get to the World Series with you, but not without you. I know you're going to be chomping at the bit. Please be patient. Do what you have to. We need you after September. He kind of took that to heart. He said he got a number of text messages from Dan O'Dowd. In fact, when he threw his bullpen session in San Diego when the Rockies were on the road against these Padres, he texted Dan O'Dowd and said it went fine. Dan O'Dowd texted him back and said, you just made my day. Torrealba gets the big hit that Friday night. He texts him back and said, I think that might have made your day. And Dan O'Dowd said, awesome. He also made a point of telling me, and he said, no offense to any coaches I've ever had, but my number one coach is my father, James Street. We talked about him over the course of the year. He's always called him and talked baseball with him. And he said his mother is a health nut, and she would send him, text him, email him all kinds of things about how to take care of his body. But he is so ecstatic to be back. I doubt he's going to get in the game tonight. We'll see what happens. But he is back at the back end of the bullpen as of last night's 2-out performance, guys.
Well, his dad taught him the slider, and he's got an awfully good one. 3-2 on Macias, and that's down the right field line. Extra bases for Drew Macias. Hop over in the corner. Will throw it back in. It's a double with 1 out.
Well, the kid that's come up, he's got his hit sparingly, but he gets one here. 191 average. Shoots this ball right by Todd Help. Pretty good effort there, trying to slide catch it. Came up short on it. This ball is going to peel down into the corner. You don't anticipate a guy that struggled like Macias has to come up and pull Flores down the line. Pretty good job of it, though. Got a few wheels. He can run a little bit, obviously, playing in the outfield. Month of September has become the 4th outfielder. Where Cabrera will go to the right side. He's 1 for 4 with a single back in the 5th. He scored a run. His average 263 on the season.
Everett is 1 for 4. Ball and 2 strikes now on Everett Cabrera. Marquis and Tim Stauffer, the starting pitchers tonight, and both went 4 2/3. For Marquis, gave up 6 runs, 5 earned on 5 hits. He walked 5. That was disappointing. He's walked a bunch of guys his last few outings. He did strike out 6. Talking to Bud Black yesterday about the Rockies, soliciting his opinion. And Bud said, I like the Rockies a lot. He goes, I believe that they could play with any of the top teams in baseball. And I think when you talk to a guy like that, first of all, you're going to get a fair appraisal and also a very accurate appraisal, because naturally in your division now, with the unbalanced schedule, George, you know the teams inside your division exceptionally well. I mean, this time of year, you know, guys like Bud Black, Jim Tracy, they'll read all the scouting reports. They have them memorized. They know all these guys backwards and forwards they play against.
Well, and that's the advantage of having your AAA manager up here. You're talking about Stu Cole and, of course, Tommy Reynolds. And over on this side, you have the AA and AAA managers. Because of the call-ups that come up, you know everybody. And it just adds to the report. What did he do down there? What pitches did he hit? What advantage did he have? And, of course, when Bertle got whacked or fired in May, Tommy Reynolds came up as a bench coach. Stu Cole stepped right in behind him, and Stu's here in the ballpark.
Two and 2 on Cabrera. Barnes to 1-8, 2 outs. And that'll bring up David Eckstein.
Yeah, let's see what Trace does. I think he'll, yeah, I thought he would. Going to go out and make a double switch here. He's going to put Spielborgs in right, take Hop out of the ball game. Brad made the last out, and he'll have Spielborgs hitting the 9-hole.
2 outs, runner at third when we come back.
Who wouldn't want to be in this position? If anyone came in at the beginning of the season and said you guys were going to be 5 up with 11 to play, we'd all be ecstatic. So this is exactly where we want to be, so it's definitely a lot more fun.
Matt Daly is aboard looking for the final out in the 8th inning. He'll face David Eckstein with Drew Macias at third base. Rockies trying to keep it a 3-run ball game. Ryan Spielborgs in right field now. So the pitcher's spot is the 5-hole where Brad Hop previously was slotted. Spielborgs will be up 4th next inning. Eckstein 0 for 3, walk back in the first inning, and he turns on one and fouls it off. They may stay with Adams, George, next inning.
Well, that's what he was doing. I mean, him and McGregor's going to kind of split that role in the 7th and 8th inning if you don't work down to him. McGregor's in his day off. I mean, he was able to come in and get a couple of ground ball outs.
Fowler was playing shallow. He makes the catch. So Daly continues to do his job. He got the out on Eckstein. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Torrey Albo lead it off. 3-run game.
Been on, you know, with the most solid chance at the end of going to October baseball. We were always had that feel coming up with Atlanta, but I never made it quite up with them. Since we were always short, but it's a wonderful feeling. This is what we play for. This is what we prepare in the off season for, is to be physically ready for October. This is what you want to do, and so at this point, it's great to be around a core group of guys that have already done it here. This being my first time in a run, it's fun to see the veteran guys and how they handle it, and look at day to day, and that's it, 'cause that's all you can focus on.
Well, Matt Belisle's done his part. He's been very good in his latest call-up.
Well, Chuck Neffen did a great job with it. When he went back down to AAA, and I'll be very honest about it.
Line drive, but at Cabrera, one out.
That's 2 out of the last 3 batters that Adams faced. Ball hit very hard. Well, let's be honest. When Belisle was up here earlier, if you put him in a tight situation, tied or up 1, coming out of the bullpen, it was kind of like a deer in headlights. You didn't know what you were going to expect out of it. Then, since going down with Chuck Neffen at the AAA level, and with all the changeovers, it's kind of rotating door up here in the big leagues, they needed a closer, and they put him in that closer's role. I had numerous scouts tell me he was 95 to 97. He was just and tremendous slider, good changeup. He was, I think, only blew 1 save down there, and had 6 for 7, 7 for 8 save opportunities. And talking with Chuck Neffen, he just said he just like a whole different person. Wouldn't throw a pitch and walk around. He'd get it, walk right back up on the mound. He just really assumed that role, and Chuck worked with him on the mental side of things. And it turned out, obviously, turned out very well for him.
1 strike the count on Ian Stewart. Rockies down by 3 runs, and now it's 0-2 with 1 out in the 8th inning.
So the fastballs ran up to 94, but his slider's been 88, 89. That last to Stewart was 88. Pretty good location. Now, it's just a guy that has beat around a little bit with Milwaukee starting in 04. He's had some injuries, had some time off, pitched well last year for the San Diego Padres. Came back here and still showing a very good arm strength, knowing what he's doing out on the mound.
Here's Luke Gregerson. He had a recent run of 19 consecutive scoreless innings broken up. Two outs. Two outs, and Clint Barmas will approach.
Great location for the pitch. Hard slider, swing and a miss early. Came right back with it again. Just a little more velocity on it. See it on the Hyundai cam there. Just a very good job.
Billboards on deck. Barmas a single and a double tonight. 2 for 3. He had 3 hits and a walk last night. Drove in 3 runs. Reached in 6 of his last 7 plate appearances. 2-0. Barmas, who's had a tough second half, batting average wise in particular. He's hit some home runs, hit quite a few home runs in fact, but he's 7 for his last 10 at the plate, so starting to heat up. You know what he did yesterday, George? I mentioned it a second ago. He walked. He hadn't walked in forever.
Nope, took a lot of pitches and didn't find one to his liking, so he ended up just moving on down to first base. It was good to see.
Yeah, 515 plate appearances coming into the ball game. He had walked only 27 times. Prior to last night, his last walk was August 26th, about once a month. 3-1. Three and 2 on Barmas with 2 outs. Missed with the slider. So Barmas goes to first, and that'll bring Spilborghs to the plate. You say a guy never does something, George. What does he do?
He does it. He walks. That's right. Hey, Saturday, September 26th is Maristar Casino Resort Spa Fan Appreciation Day at Coors Field. Lucky fans through the gates will be randomly chosen to win a hotel night stay in the brand new Maristar Hotel in Blackhawk. Get your ticket for that ball game Saturday, September the 26th.
First at bat for Spilborghs. Ball 1. Spilborghs, little 3-game hitting streak going, 4 for 10. Get into last night's ball game. I think a drop of rain has fallen tonight. Never would have guessed that earlier. Outside, 2-1. That's the talk in the clubhouse. About 3:30 this afternoon. Would the game be played?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about the fact exactly. how much was going to drop at the time and when it was ever going to stop. This outfield was a mess. Covered in a lot of water against Raz and the guys. Got everything in great shape. Got it out there.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Spilborghs. This is a foul ball as well on the right side, well down the line and out of play. Spilborghs hanging tough against Adams. Three and 2. We'll get Barnes cranked up at first base. Smith will be next if Spilborghs can reach. Barmes will have to come back. Spilborghs put together a good at bat.
Put together a very, very good at bat. Fighting off a lot of pitches, good pitches.
And a ground ball to third. Chase Headley throws out Spilborghs. The Rockies done in the 8th. We move to the 9th inning. San Diego 6, Colorado 3. The Padres, the Rockies post-game report will immediately follow the action tonight, and Tom Helmer's in the captain's chair as always. Tom?
That's right, Drew. Coming up, we'll talk about Marked Up, Jason Marquis, a rough outing for him. We'll take a look back at that. Also, Will Venable, a huge night tonight for San Diego. We'll take a look at his performance. We'll also get you into the clubhouse, and we'll have some of the highlights from some of the teams involved in the wild card race. It's all coming up right after the game. Drew?
It is a fun time of year. Tom, thanks very much. A busy time of year as well. Joe Beimel is on the bump here in the 9th inning, looking for 3 quick outs. Adrian Gonzalez, Chase Headley, Will Venable. So a lefty, a switch hitter, and another lefty scheduled. Another night where Jim Tracy had to keep ringing that phone that Jim Wright answers down in the bullpen. Marquis went just 4 2/3, then Herges for a third of an inning. Chacin, a clean inning. Peralta, pretty solid inning. Flores, 2/3 of an inning. Daly, a third of an inning. And now Beimel, 8 pitchers last night. Beimel, the 7th this evening. Here's Adrian Gonzalez, and he takes strike 1.
And you're looking at the ball game and why Beimel's come into this game. He has mastered this guy, 2 for 19. One of those hits coming over in San Diego. One thing Beimel does very well, he hides the ball. The left-hander is difficult picking the ball up off of it.
Heath Bell is warming up with the Padres bullpen. And the Rockies in the bottom of the 9th will go to the plate as confident as you can be against a guy with Bell's reputation. Bell, an all-star, top shelf closer, but the last 2 times the Rockies faced him, they forced him into blown saves. They'll try to do it again tonight, but first things first, you got to get 3 outs. That'll be a good start. Gonzalez pops out to Tulowitzki. 1 gone. Jason Hamill, Clayton Richard tomorrow. Richard's a left-hander.
Threw the ball well against the Rockies over there. I mean, you know, guys swung at some pitches out of the strike zone. But he will get the start tomorrow. The left-hander that came over in a trade from the Chicago White Sox.
Headley quiet tonight, 0 for 4, including a couple of punch-outs.
Too many hits over in Pittsburgh. Didn't bring any
used up his quota for the week.
Done.
Here's Carlos Gonzalez sitting next to Ubaldo Jimenez, who's playing paper football, I think. Nice kick.
No, it's called flicking the sunflower seeds.
Oh, is that what that is? Ground ball to third. Carlos, talked to him before the ball game. Just a little tightness in the lower part of the hamstring. He's fine. And they gave him a couple of days, especially with the cold weather. But it was not a strain, it was not a pull. And I think erring on the side of caution, the prudent thing to do for the Rockies. They cannot afford to lose him. Will Venable at the plate. He's been the hitting start tonight for San Diego. A long home run in the 2nd inning. I mean, he got all of it. 2nd deck shot. And then with 2 outs and the bases loaded in the 5th and a 2-0 ball game, he ripped a double to right center field to clear the bases. 0-2. Saw Brian Giles. Chatted with him, George, before the ball game. He's maybe looking at another arthroscopic surgery perhaps at the end of the season. He's done for the year. He's battled some injuries the last couple of seasons. Brian's had a really good career, getting long in the tooth, as they say. This kid may see a lot more time as a corner outfielder here in the future for San Diego. Here's the 1-2 on Venable, and Beimel gets him with a slider. Good inning for Joe Beimel. Put the rally caps on. We'll come back with the bottom of the 9th inning. 6-3 Padres. Last licks, as you called it back in your youth, Seth Smith, Dexter Fowler, Todd Helton, then Troy Tulowitzki, and beyond that, you figure to see Jason Giambi. The fifth spot in the order is where the pitcher is currently located. And Heath Bell has been far more human in the month of September than he was the first few months of this baseball season.
He's had a little bit of trouble. Obviously, they've been able to say that, and I think that's one thing that you're going to look at when you start to think about Heath Bell, but yet he still leads the National League, 39 saves on the season. Believe it or not, Hop 5 for 11, 455. He's got big numbers against him. Hop's out of the lineup, but Spielborg's in.
Jim Tracy would love to see
just get it started.
Jason Giambi get it started. Love to see Jason Giambi get a shot. If he does, he figures to be men on and a chance to do significant damage. Down by 3, strike 1.
I think that's one thing you got to look at and take into account of it when you do run him up there. Where are you? But it's got to get started with the first batter, because if you let Bell get one out, everything just gets so much better. It may start right here.
It's going to start an opposite field double for Seth Smith. And I don't care who you are. I don't care how much success you've had. When a team has hit you pretty hard and recently, and then they start out with a bang, there's got to be a degree of doubt in your mind.
Well, there is, but yet when you've been a closer, and he's been that this year, you know, I think that the thing that you can see that he has done, I mean, those 2 failed attempts over in San Diego, he knows he's against a hot team. The key to the whole thing is to get that leadoff man. He didn't do it now. Seth Smith with that double. Now you got to look at it from minimizing damage. I mean, you just got to look at it and say, all right, you know what, Smith, go score. But I got to try to get 3 outs, and it's difficult to do.
That's a strike on Dexter Fowler. Helton on deck. Dexter tonight is 1 for 3. He was also hit by a pitch. He had a double his last time up on a ground ball up the middle, just a leg double. 1-1. Bell in his last outing against the Pirates had a blown save, so it wasn't just against the Rockies. That was Monday night.
Oh, great point. Doug Marino just gave me a note on Bell. He's only retired the leadoff man just 63% of the time. Now with the closer, you'd like to see 75 and above.
Oh man, get out of play. Not gonna happen. Good hustle by Huntley.
That was a good note looking back at this, because most closers, I mean, you look at the success rate, and again, I think, you know, I looked at this the other day. I want to double check it right now in Houston Street. I looked at his success rate with the leadoff men. I mean, Street 77% of the time. How good is that? Well, you'd hope this ball might sneak into the Rockies dugout, but you know what? Huntley did a nice job stepping over the bats, avoiding Helton in the on-deck circle to make that play.
Helton a couple of walks, a sac fly. One official at bat. That's a fly ball to left. Right part of the order for Colorado. Tulowitzki on deck. Outside. And Giambi has done his cage work, his tee work. Got the hard hat on. When the Rockies score 7+ runs as they did yesterday, the place to go the following day, your Colorado participating Taco Bell locations between 4 and 6. Get 4 tacos for $1. Rockies held hitless till the 5th inning by Tim Stauffer. have only 6 hits tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes on number 17. 39 saves this year for Heath Bell. Yeah, he replaced Trevor Hoffman, saved 40 plus 9 times for San Diego. And a ground ball stabbed by Bell. That was headed up the middle. 2 outs. Now Tulowitzki will try to keep it alive for Giambi. Time run for our Land Rover extraordinary play of the day. It's actually the work of the Rockies bullpen tonight. 4+ innings, no runs, just 1 hit allowed. Work to 1-2-3, top of the 9th. It's brought to you by Land Rover, designed for the extraordinary. Tulowitzki, 1 for 4. Smith at second. Obviously, if he reaches, he guarantees that the Rockies get the tying run to the plate. There's the big man. Funny game, baseball. Tulowitzki's been up 4 times tonight. He's hit 3 on the nose. The one time he didn't hit it on the nose, that's the time he got the hit.
Yeah, right at him. Yeah, I mean, you know, that when you think about the hard line drive center field and then a running catch by Venable and right in the corner.
And how about the bullet up the middle that Epstein fielded? And the one he splinters bat on, dropped into right field for a base hit and an RBI. He'll take that right now. 0-2. Tulowitzki's seen the baseball well. He's seen it very well the entire second half. Smith at second. Hit one in the left center field gap to begin the inning. Give the Rockies some hope. Fastball, not close.
Still pretty hard, 95 miles an hour for Bell. Saw him down in the locker. This is a big man. His lower half, and then the drive he gets out of that lower half, gets on top, creates a lot of movement.
Two and 2. 3-2. Well, his predecessor, George, one of the hardest working closers in the game, Trevor Hoffman, not just by how many appearances, but kind of shape he stayed in. He had some of the strongest legs in the game. And he had a very good year with Milwaukee. 3-2 on Tulowitzki with Giambi on deck. 6-3 San Diego in the 9th. Oh, he called him out. That looked high. Rob Drake turns around and heads to the dressing room. That slider looked high. San Diego wins it 6-3 tonight.